Welcome back to the Celtics Nation Rise podcast, episode 90. I'm your host, Griffin Aldrich. Alongside me, we have my two great co hosts, Carl McDonald and Daniel Miguel. And we have some breaking news. Jayson Tatum is back. JT is back tonight against the Dallas Mavericks. You guys see all the Tatum gear back there. We're rocking. We're rocking. Jayson Tatum is back. You guys, if you guys haven't heard, I have tonsillitis, so I'm gonna let Carl and Daniel really take this over because I know they could bring a bunch of hype to this. So you know what? I'm not giving enough excitement, I feel like. So I'm gonna slide over to you, Carl and Daniel. Carl, get us hyped up. Tatum's back. Tatum is back.
We talked about this going into the podcast, not just what 5-10 minutes ago, but also, yesterday and even the day prior, even when we got the news that this could happen. But not only was it confirmed, of course, that he's going to be playing this season, but it was confirmed not too long ago, maybe an hour or two ago, that today's the day. It is
Yeah.
finally happening. And there it is, the graphic right here. For the first time this season, Jayson Tatum will be available to play Boston Celtics basketball. And very funny and reminiscent of this is that his first match back is going to be against the same team he did battle with in the finals and, of course, ultimately won his first championship with the Celtics. Gentlemen, as a Boston Celtics fan, we've gone through some of the worst moments, of course, what initially put us in this position, May 12th of 2025, that matchup against the Knicks. Don't want to get too much into that because it already was a sad and heartbreaking situation. I remember the video that I made after that. All I could really do was just talk about that and just praying and hoping that he at least can, walk again and just operate, the same way. Everything that mattered from the championship to us getting past the second round didn't matter to me anymore. The main thing for me personally, and I feel like for you guys as well and other Celtics fans, was just for this man to get better, to get healthy, and to just be able to live again. And after months of seeing his progress, seeing the videos and photos of him, seeing him in the boot and seeing him playing basketball as if he never, had torn his Achilles, seeing the progress that we had seen throughout the recent documentary he's been putting out, all these episodes, which was supposed to come out weekly, but as the days were coming by, we get, 2 episodes a day, and then the next episode the next day. It's just such a satisfying feeling that, when I said and made it a mission to really yell out the rooftops, believe in Boston, it really paid off. It wasn't a gimmick, it wasn't a character, it wasn't a joke, it was actually a way of life. It was something to behold because it wasn't just the Celtics fighting and doing their best. It was also Jayson Tatum looking to extend himself as a player, but more so his legacy, and that's what he's doing right now. Coming off of, again, a very debilitating injury, not the first individual to do this, but could be the first person to have this quick of a recovery. If you're not a wrestling fan, the best way I can describe this is very reminiscent of when John Cena came back at the '08 Royal Rumble. He was supposed to be out for 9 months when he tore his pectoral muscle right off the bone. Came back in 4 to 5 months and came back as if nothing happened. Yes, yes, Griffin. Wow, indeed. An insane situation, and he would go on to have a very lengthy career after that, recently retiring in late 2025. And the belief that I have in Jayson Tatum, there's individuals who are understandably concerned. Hey, is this too early? Hey, is this, something he wants to do right now? And all I have to say is, again, if he's 110% confident, like Daniel said, 150% confident, if his doctors say he's okay, if his team says he's okay, if his trainer says he's okay, I forget his name at the moment, but he will be mentioned later in this video, says he's okay, if his mother says he's okay, then I'm confident, more confident than ever before, that Jayson Tatum is going to be coming back and playing basketball in the way that he was meant to. And yes, he's not going to be playing the same. A lot of individuals, especially the haters, will be telling you that just because of their weird beef with us, with the Celtics fans, and especially Tatum. But you know, and I know that he's not supposed to come back the same. And that's what's going to make this journey even more fun. This is going to be a completely different Jayson Tatum. And I'm looking forward to seeing number zero playing tonight, the remainder of the season, and for a long and lengthy career. Modern medicine has improved. He looks great out there. The dude is essentially Wolverine out there. I don't know what else to say about this. I don't know how else to express how happy I am. Happiness doesn't even begin to express how I'm feeling right now. It's just a great feeling.
Jeez, if that doesn't get you fired up, I don't know what else will. And Daniel, you give your initial thoughts, and then I want to go back and talk about his, Achilles recovery and returning so early. But Daniel, what are your initial thoughts? Get everyone hyped up. Give it to us. Give it to us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've been waiting for this moment. Um, Before this, I want to go season some steaks. I'm throwing something on the grill tonight in honor of Jayson Tatum. Everybody should be throwing something on the grill. But yeah, I think I want to start this off by saying shout out to his team. Shout out to the people that were with him. Shout out to the support he has gotten, not only from the Celtics, but I think, wow, it's really loud outside right now. But it's the support has gone from the NBA in general. From his trainer Nick Sang, that's his name. To his photographer, his personal photographer. Those two are what I would consider as best friends. To everyone else in the league, Tyrese Halliburton and Damian Lillard specifically as well, because they were all in the same boat. And you see Dame, has he returned already? I think he's to the court. Okay. Well, he participated in the 3-point contest, which signals a return soon for him as well. Same with Halliburton. He's been posting clips of him nearing his return as well. And all the three of them have been supporting each other throughout this whole thing. And I just think it's an amazing feeling. I would say for Tatum and for everybody who's a fan of him to know that he has this comfort, he has this pillow around the NBA with whether it's other players, whether it's fans, whether it's his own personal team. I think the most underrated part about this whole recovery is the people he's had around him, the people that his mother. I forgot to shout. How could I forget his mother and Deuce as well? The closest people to him, And I think I've dealt with injuries as an athlete. A devastating one to my hip about 3 years ago, and I think one of my favorite things at the time was having people around me, having people close to me. And I'm glad Tatum has that same feeling with everybody in the league. I'm glad even though he does have haters, he has a lot more fans and a lot more people that have been waiting for this day. A lot of people that have been excited for this day, and a lot of people that cannot wait for this game to happen. So this game might break records in terms of viewership, because there were a lot of people that have been waiting for this moment. Um, Regardless of whether he's starting, whether he's coming off the bench, he's obviously coming off the bench in his first game, but it's still going to be electric against the Mavs. Like you said, Carl, the team he beat to win his first championship. It's going to be electric. Cooper Flag on his second game back from an injury as well. Cooper Flag back in Boston. So it's going to be a really, really big moment for everybody who's a fan of, not only a fan of Tatum, not only a fan of the Celtics, but a fan of the sport. It's an exciting moment for everyone. And I didn't know this until today. I actually kind of forgot about it. The last time he stepped foot on the court, he dropped 42 points in 40 minutes. And this was March 12th. Obviously, it's sad because he got injured. But let's take the injury out of the performance. He dropped 42 points in that game, and a really good game. And not to dwell on the past, but I obviously, as most Celtics fans, we saw ourselves going past that Knicks, very tough Knicks team. And so all I can say is hopefully 2 months from now, May 12th, again, whatever the schedule may be, we see him hopefully back in the starting lineup. and dropping that kind of
Oh,
performance
Daniel.
again for the men's Celtics. There are a lot of people that have been talking about, oh, like Jayson Tatum needs to sit on the bench and let Jaylen Brown lead this team. Jayson Tatum needs to set his ego aside, like Melo said in his podcast. Melo mentioned that, oh, he needs to put his ego aside and let Jaylen Brown lead the team. Get out of here with that, man. Tatum said it himself. He's not coming back to be a role player. He's not coming back to be a role player. And Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown have dealt with adversity from the fans and the media, I feel like, because they themselves haven't shown any signs of any bad relationship within them. They haven't showed any problems because there isn't any. They're two stars of a team, and they've been working together for the past 8 years now. 7 to 8 years, 7 to 8 seasons, maybe even 9 since the end of the league, and they have been best friends ever since. So I don't know why the media keeps every season they're just starting the same rumors that, oh, JT and JB cannot work together, they can't function together. Get out of here with all that, man. They're stars for a reason. They're both stars for a reason. They're both champions for a reason. And him being back, I'm sure is going to be a big boost for the whole team, for Jaylen Brown himself as well. And like I said, for everybody else in the NBA. So to anybody who says that Jayson Tatum is going to come back and ruin the team's chemistry and the team's vibes and all that, get out of here, bro. That's not going to happen at all. Sure, Jayson Tatum is going to be on the bench to start off just to make sure he's 100% healthy, but that's not at all going to ruin what he's done for this team and the relationship he has with the players already. So, like everyone else, I'm very excited for this day, and I cannot wait for game time.
That you guys got me fired up. I gotta say, you guys got me fired up. And let's talk after. Well, let's talk about it right now while it's fresh off our minds. I agree with the Brown thing that you said in there, and I think Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum. I think Jaylen Brown could still have an MVP season. I don't think this discredits from Jaylen Brown's season at all whatsoever. And I don't even believe that this situation, like Tatum takes over completely, because we have to, we're going to get into this later too. But David and I talked about it yesterday when he was questionable. Tatum is most likely going to be on a heavily minutes restriction tonight. And it's the truth. It sucks, but he's going to be on a minutes restriction for a while, I feel like. And we don't know what that minutes restriction is going to look like. I mean, we didn't have news till what, like an hour ago that Tatum's coming back. So we'll get updated with that. But again, I think this year, Tatum still can have the potential to become that superstar that he is, but it's going to be a recovery still, like you look at this, Tatum coming back, this is step one, but step two is getting in a rhythm, doing what you were doing before, and I'm sure he's fit in with this team. He's been watching film, as you've heard guys said. He's been locked in. So, I mean, we're looking at that, and I think Jaylen Brown can still have his MVP season this year. Who knows? Jaylen Brown could get an MVP at the end of the season. We don't know that. Like, it's totally possible. But for Tatum, there's probably going to be a minutes restriction. And I want to ask you guys about that really quick. What do you guys think the minute restriction looks like for Jayson Tatum and just him coming back tonight? What do you guys predict his stat line for his first game tonight against Cooper Flagg and the Dallas Mavericks? We'll start off with you, Carl, and go to Daniel.
Yeah, it's a really good question there. I could see them probably putting him in there for about 20-ish so minutes. He probably gets himself a double-double as well. Getting the scoring in, but also being as useful to this team in other aspects as much as possible as well. We've seen that a big reason why we really weren't doing so hot at the beginning of the season was because there was no, true rebounder. We were struggling with the rebounding. That was something that also we were struggling with towards the end of our season last season. Not only that, but also assisting is also now going to be included, and defense. So definitely I could see him, playing for about 20-ish so minutes and getting himself a double-double, maybe nearing that triple-double spot because, again, he's a really good playmaker. And because, he has been absent, it has, allowed for these other players, your Derek Whites, your Peyton Pritchards, your Hugo Gonzalez's, Garza's, to also contribute more when it comes to rebounding, not just Keita, who is, of course, our starting center. Um, and then, playmaking, Jaylen Brown, that's something that he has improved on a lot as well because, Tatum really hasn't been there. And knowing Jayson Tatum, too, although, yes, and great enough that he has that mindset, he is not there to be a role player, to come back as a role player. But he also has said that he doesn't want to ruin with the team's chemistry. So he's going to help them out as much as possible and then look to take over the reins, at some point later in the future. Of course, past this game, maybe in the next, month or so. So definitely I see him ending with the stat line probably around 15-ish points, 10 rebounds, maybe give 5 to 6 assists, and doing so in 20 minutes. Jayson Tatum is going to look pretty good out there for somebody who, again, is coming off an Achilles tear. And of course, as his season is dwindling down too, I feel like he's also going to be out for like reconditioning and just making sure everything is okay. We are seeing that with DeJounte Murray, somebody else who had also torn their Achilles right around this time last year, just came back. He looks really good as well too, and it further makes me more excited to see Jayson Tatum because if DeJounte Murray can come back and play very well too after such a devastating injury, then Tatum can as well. So definitely, I feel like that's going to come up, and the Celtics team and everybody else surrounding Tatum are going to do anything and everything to make sure that he's doing all right, whilst he's also doing all right physically, mentally, and spiritually as well.
Yeah, what do you got for us, Daniel?
I agree.
What?
Yeah. I forgot about DeJounte Murray, honestly. Sorry, DeJounte. But I just looked up his stats. He's been having a good season in this past 4 games that he's played since coming back from injury. His most recent game, 15, 8, and 8, as a starter already, so he's back in that starting position already. Um, so I think this says a lot about Tatum, and what we could hope from the future, in the future from him. And I think Tatum himself is going to be really impressed with the team. Just to go back to that chemistry, like standpoint that fans or the media keeps pointing out. I think Tatum is going to be ecstatic about the way Jaylen Brown has led this team without Tatum, obviously. And not only that, but the position we're in right now with Tatum coming back. We couldn't have hoped for a better moment. This is one of the biggest days as a Celtics fan in recent times, obviously after the 2024 championship. But after that, I think right now is kind of like we're getting back to peak Celtics moments right now, in terms of happiness. Um, One of our best players, Tatum, is back, and the team is actually in a good spot, and we've completely flipped 160 um, in terms of our predictions for the season early on. We've flipped the script. We're supposed to. I can't remember what my prediction was, but it was probably like we finish as a seventh or eighth seed, if I had to guess. We are levels ahead of that right now, and we could still have a chance to finish first. With or without Tatum, because of the way we play with the Boston Celtics, the way the team has been playing. Um, Throughout the whole season. So I think Tatum has a big shout out to give and has given shout outs to the team for the work they've done without him this season. And so I couldn't be happier, and Tatum as well couldn't be happier to return tonight. Um, and it kind of reminds me of Klay Thompson, and his first game back in 2022 after his big, I think it was an ACL injury, if I'm not mistaken. His first game back, dropped 17 points, 3 for 8 from the 3 point line, and had a really good first game back in 20 minutes played. So it's games like that that come to mind when I think of the stat line that Tatum could have in his first game back. Obviously Klay Thompson and Tatum are two different players, and it was also two different injuries. But as a Celtic fan, you can just hope. That's all we can do. But I think we could see good see numbers wise. I think 15 15, 5, and 5. I think is what I see from him in his first game back. 15, 5, and 5. I don't disagree with you, Carl. I think we could see a double double, maybe even a triple double. But I just feel like because it's his first game back, I don't know if it's gonna be like jumping for rebounds and stuff like that, or just like being as physical as he could be in his first game back. I don't. It could happen, but I don't know. I think he might want to play it safe on the most part. So I think he's gonna get maybe even more assists and rebounds. Who knows? But yeah, I think 15, 5, and 5 in 18 minutes played. I think less than 20 for him. Yeah, 18 minutes played, 15, 5, and 5, and good shooting. I think that's what I expect from him tonight.
Yeah, this is my whole takeaway, and I said this yesterday too, so you guys can watch the questionable because you guys will love to hear David and I talk about it, because David and we did the recap right after it went down, and emotions were just so low that night, and now like a full circle moment. But I said I don't really see him, like, I think 15 to 20 minutes is really where I see him playing, just to keep it safe, because again, we haven't seen any film of Tatum doing 5-on-5 scrimmaging against the team or anything. This could be even a game where you even see him, be in the starting lineup, get that introduction, feel at home, check out immediate, like maybe in the next like 3 minutes, and maybe only even play 10 to 15 minutes tonight. It might not be a huge sample size for Jayson Tatum because, and I'm just saying this is all hypothetical because we don't know what we've seen from Jayson Tatum. Like, I think the only thing we've really seen are those little teasers about him one-on-one, throwing down a dunk, but we haven't really seen a lot of heavy film on Jayson Tatum. So this is the interesting part about it. I think for me going out there tonight, I would say like around 10, 15 points, and that might be downplaying it a lot. He might even have a lot more. You look at it, Jayson Tatum might not even skip a beat. They put him in 20 minutes. Geez, Giannis the other night. Hold on. If anyone could refresh my memory, I'll try to go pull it up while I'm looking at it. But Giannis the other night against the Celtics was on a minutes restriction. All right, I got it up. Was on a minutes restriction, played 25 minutes, had 19 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, a block. Again, was not out nearly as long as Jayson Tatum. Are we like 295 days into this or 300? I don't know exactly how many.
298, if I think is the number.
Yeah, nearing 300. Yeah, exactly what Daniel said.
Yeah, 298. Yeah.
So 298 days. So it doesn't even compare. But again, 25 minutes. I could see Tatum tonight if he plays 15 minutes, maybe getting 10 points, assist high. But I want to ask you guys this question. Obviously he's younger. DeJounte Murray, I was even looking at it. I think DeJounte Murray's like 29. Jayson Tatum turning 27 this year. I have to say
20.
You're right. Or 19. He's 19. But I have to say, Tatum 2 years younger than DeJounte Murray. And obviously, DeJounte Murray, you look at their games, Jayson Tatum has been mentioned in MVP conversations. And you look at Jayson Tatum from a career aspect and, just where he was in his career, not really suffering with injuries a lot until that Achilles injury. You look at it, I want to ask you guys this question. Why do you think he's coming back so early? Because my prediction at the beginning of the season, I kept saying, no, Tatum should not play this season. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. I'm not involved in the rules, but I kind of switched my position, was like, all right, Tatum could come back. I'm all for it. And I'm all hyped for this. I cannot wait. I am head over heels about how excited I am for this game tonight. You guys don't even know. But my question is, why do you guys think he's coming back so early? Again, Tyrese Halliburton, we talked about this yesterday as well, went down with the Achilles tear after Jayson Tatum and is also suffering with shingles, I believe, as well. But then you look at a DeJounte Murray just came back and suffered that Achilles tear well before Tatum, and even Dame Lillard, who suffered the Achilles tear in the first round, is still not even back. Went in the 3-point competition, but Tatum comes back before Damian Lillard, obviously Lillard a little bit older as well, and not too long after DeJounte Murray. Why do you guys think this is the case, and what do you guys think? Carl, we'll start off with you and go to Daniel.
Yeah, honestly, it could be a mixture of multiple things. I think the biggest reason could be because of his health. We talked to many Celtics outlets and even us talked about, the progression that he has gone through. Like, for example, when he first had surgery, it was within 12 hours of it happening, and that was the best case scenario for him. Something that was talked about, through the Celtics Insider and, of course, through the documentary as well. It was the best case scenario for him, and the doctor that had done it, Dr. Mallory, which thank you to him as well, or O'Malley, my apologies. Um, that's somebody who has worked on other athletes in the past who have suffered other debilitating injuries. And the thing, and he was actually the person who did KD's surgery when he tore his Achilles. So definitely, giving Tatum those options and him actually going for, hey, we're going to do it a day after, gave him the best chance at recovering at this rate. He's also talked about, certain medications that he has been taking, new and advanced medications. A lot of people don't realize this, but when it comes to medicine, especially nowadays, of course, it's really helping out, these individuals, especially, these athletes here. And I would also say a good support system, as we, already had talked about as well, not just in, nutrition, but also how he's working out, how often he is working out. He said that he was rehabbing about 6 days a week, if I'm not mistaken, which is really looking really good on him. And then his scrimmages as well. I believe, when did he start scrimmaging? I believe he started scrimmaging in mid-February.
Yeah, right before, yeah, because right before the All-Star break, got assigned to the G League. And
Hmm.
sorry, I don't mean to take it over, Carl, but
No, you're okay.
I had a quick funny thing. This is a plug for our podcast yesterday, episode 89. Go check it out with Spencer Martin. When we asked about Jayson Tatum, and because obviously he knows a lot, because he is a broadcaster for the Maine Celtics, he said, "You guys, I gonna get me in trouble. I can't give away a lot." But he gave a little smirk when I said that Tatum is questionable. He knew, he must have knew. But on top of that, he said, just him being able to play against those G League guys. I'm gonna stop right there though. You guys can check that out after, but continue, Carl. Sorry, I just had to get that out before I forgot about it. But yeah, scrimmaging right before All-Star break against the Maine Celtics G League team.
No, right, right. And yeah, that pretty much factored into that as well, as you mentioned, that broadcaster and him potentially knowing something, that definitely helps. Also that one WNBA player, I can't remember her name for the life of me, and my apologies on that as well. She also suffered that injury, and she talked about that when she had also gone through that same injury and went through the scrimmaging, she was back within 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Um, so definitely it was just a lot of monitoring, him making sure he was not only moving in the way that he's supposed to be moving, especially after an injury like that, but being able to actually come back and perform. And again, when it comes to, his recovery, obviously we're not doctors and we're not, saying, oh, this is wrong or this is right. But again, he wouldn't be able to play unless these doctors cleared him, unless they actually looked at him and said, okay, he can actually play, he can actually operate. And not just actual doctors, but also the medical team for the Celtics. And again, his own team. And again, him himself, because he's not really going to know his body, or sorry, he's not. When it comes to his body, he's going to be the one who knows it the most. He's going to be able to trust that, and not just in a physical sense, but also a mental sense as well too, because you can be all right, you can truthfully heal from this Achilles injury and do exactly, what you want, but it's also a mental game as well too. Dominique Wilkins months ago talked about his own experience with, the Achilles tear that he sustained back in the late 80s. And funny enough, in his situation as well, he said that, he was going up and he had fallen. He's like, hey, if this is gonna tear on me again, then it's gonna tear on my own terms. And I feel like Tatum may go into this season or the remainder of this season with that type of mindset. And Dominique Wilkins, went on to have himself a really good season as well too. And he was essentially the first star that we could truthfully think of outside of Kevin Durant that came back from such a very debilitating and just terrible injury. So, Tatum coming back not only, is a result of his team monitoring him along with the doctors and everybody else supporting him and he, doing that himself, but also I feel like he somewhat owes this to his team too. He knows he's somebody that can still lead this team, can still do great things with this team. And he knows to do that, he's going to have to take a back seat sometimes. And that's, of course, why he's been talking about how he doesn't want to mess with the chemistry of this team. And as you guys have also mentioned too, showing how proud he is of his team and really, helping them out, not just, with being there, but also consoling them when they're not doing, so hot. Case in point, Derek White could have, been in a position where he was losing his confidence earlier in the season because Jayson Tatum wasn't on the court. A lot of people don't realize that type of stuff does really, hurt you and does really harm you. And definitely, I feel like Tatum was still, consoling him and being there for him. Obviously, not on the court, but, off it, just telling him, hey, you're still important to this team. You're still, valuable, still working alongside, Brown very well. Speaking of Brown, I feel like he also furthered Brown's confidence, which has led him to being one of the best players in the NBA today, the best American player, the best two-way player in the NBA today as well, too. A lot of people may or may not realize this, but Jayson Tatum has, in a weird way, been, furthering the chemistry, and he's not even on the court. Derek White has also talked about how he was there with film. He was there with them practicing, obviously not practicing with them until much later after those scrimmages with, of course, the main Celtics. But that's also very important too for him to also, I guess, get an idea of the lay of the land about, what they could potentially run into in the near future if he does or does not return. So that definitely helps him out and of course the team out, especially because now they are more prepared and potentially even more ready for what is to come. So I feel like outside of, just in general, hey, he's doing all right and he feels confident to come back. So we'll sign off on it and give him the clearance. I also feel like he feels like he owes it to his team to be a leader in not just leading in points and not just leading in stats, but also with the chemistry, with trying to uplift all of these individuals, the individuals he has played with for years, won a championship with, those who have just come onto the team, even those who are no longer a part of the team. Your Anthony Simons, Chris Boucher's, Xavier Tillman's, and anybody else, we lost through that trade deadline. He's really, showing up and showing out for this team, even though, again, he hasn't been playing Boston Celtics basketball in a year now.
No, without a doubt. What do you have though, Daniel? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of had a similar stance as some of the fans before yesterday. I was like, okay, like I mentioned in one of our recaps, I think our last recap, that I was on, I mentioned if he doesn't come back in March, I don't want him coming back this season. But because again, I wanted him to be 150%, maybe even 200% ready before coming back. But I think, yeah, it's something that Andrew said in that last podcast. Andrew mentioned that there's no other reason why he'd come back if he wasn't cleared. We aren't the doctors. He has doctors in his team, and obviously his trainer as well has been, evaluating him and seeing if he's ready to take on the court again. And if they're saying he's ready, then he's ready. So thank you, Andrew, for changing my point of view. Shout out, Andrew. He just changed the way I thought about it. And after that, I was just like, you know what? He's not wrong. I was skeptical about it because I was like, I don't want him getting injured again. I don't want the same situation to happen again where we're without him for months on the court. So yeah, I was very iffy about him coming back, but Andrew definitely changed my point of view, and now I'm like, he's ready. How many people does it take to say he's ready for everyone to believe he's ready? There's Tatum himself, there's his doctor, there's his whole team, there's his mom. I'm sure even his mom believes he's ready to take on the court. So does Deuce, even probably. So if all these people on his team and his corner are saying he's ready, who are we to say he's not ready? Who are we to question his availability? Sure, it's okay to be skeptical. It's okay as a fan to worry about it. But at the same time, he's ready. If the people around him are saying it, then it must be true, and we'll just take it obviously year by year, um, or day by day. So surely he's going to be, playing some games, missing some games in terms of management. But I'm sure we should trust Missoula and trust as Brad Stevens as well, in terms of that, and in terms of figuring it out. How exactly Tatum is going to come back on this starting lineup, when he's going to come back, and obviously when he's going to be ready to take on the court as number 0 again in that starting lineup. So very excited for today, and I believe he's ready.
Yeah, and I wanna say another thing even to add on to that, I know Tatum is a player who's very eager to always be on the court, and you even hear him said, that's why David initially thought that Hornets game because he's like, even a game against the Hornets when, geez, they mopped the floor with us last game, but, he said, "Even a game against the Hornets, like, I wanna be out there and play, people pay their money to see me." But I know he's very strong on being a player that always wants to be back, always wants to be on the court, always wants to be playing. However, if it was something that doctors are like, well, you're not 110%, da 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 da, he's not going to risk his career that he values so greatly to come back. Jayson Tatum, like, I get he loves playing. He loves the game of basketball. But on top of that, he's going to listen to doctors because you even said it. You guys both have mentioned it. He's not coming back as no role player, he said. So that means he's going to come back once he is ready. And Jayson Tatum is apparently ready tonight. And I want to add on another thing about that. You look at tonight's game and you look at everything that's set up. You're facing Cooper Flag of the Dallas Mavericks. That was a game that, all the Mainers were going to buy tickets for it anyways. But now you have a super treat with Jayson Tatum also coming back tonight. And I got to say, I want to add this on my little predictions from him moving forward. I look at it like this with Jayson Tatum, even if he doesn't give you like 30 a night, you won the trade deadline essentially. That's why they didn't do a lot of moves because they knew number 0 was coming back, and he's the most consistent player. I feel like he's going to be the most consistent player on this team because even if he can't really give you 30 a night because of the minutes restriction, he's still going to give you 10 to 15 points, and that will help. Those 10 to 15 points will definitely help. And you look at it, we'll get into this towards the end of the podcast, but Peyton Pritchard's struggles as of recently. I think this brings a consistent energy to the team. And I want to ask, what are your guys' predictions for the remainder of the season now? And do we make it out of the East? Do we win a championship? Where are you guys at? Obviously, it's way too early to say because we haven't even seen Jayson Tatum on the court yet. However, what are your now season predictions with Jayson Tatum coming back? Carl, we'll start off with you and go to Daniel. Do we win a championship? Do we make it to the finals? Where do you see us at, and from a team perspective now?
Really looking at this team, again, I was one of the many individuals who thought this team could still, be in the playoffs, could still be in the postseason, but end this season as a sixth, seventh, or eighth seed. I did not believe that we were just going to tank and leave it be. I don't think that's within the Boston Celtics DNA. But, really seeing how we've been performing without Tatum has not only been very impressive, but going ahead and truthfully exceeding expectations, going beyond them, in fact. Um, Looking at this whole situation with a team that is already the second seed in a conference and easily one of the best to just be in the NBA in general, you're now getting Jayson Tatum back. I firmly believe this team has an even stronger chance to leave the conference altogether. this is a team I feel like that can win their first round matchup. Their second round matchup more than likely is going to have to deal with the Knicks again. I see that, and that's a team that I'm not as confident as I was, in them earlier in the season. I thought, hey, they're definitely going to the finals. They're definitely showing it with the team that they have assembled. But, losing some of their more recent games and just in general not having the greatest defense in the NBA, it does make you call into question whether the Celtics or, of course, even the Pistons will pick up on that and really, go on to own them and essentially take their spots as the favorites. As of right now, the Boston Celtics are the favorites to leave the Eastern Conference, and I don't want to be that guy who's jumping to conclusions. I said, in one of these earlier podcasts as well that I've accepted the fact that they're not winning a championship this year, but it could happen. It could still happen. This team, looks really good here too, but we really have to really make sure of that as we're seeing Jayson Tatum again being brought back into the fold. What type of player he's going to be and how well he's going to, mesh into Joe Mazzulla's new system with the new team that he has for this season. So definitely I could see this team getting themselves into the conference finals and even potentially, winning the East entirely. As for winning a championship, it could happen, but it's definitely not guaranteed that it is going to happen because there's just so many questions, more questions than there are answers. And it does make you curious to see what else, this team can offer to essentially, make themselves completely the favorites to win the 2026 NBA World Title. Um, so yeah, right now they're definitely going to be one of these stronger teams coming, into the postseason and of course the Eastern Conference. I see them definitely getting past the first round, but that second round gonna have to be something that we're gonna have to look at depending on who they match up with, of course.
What do you got for us, Daniel? Well said, though, Carl.
Yeah, same thing. I really agree with that. I see us as either taking over the Pistons on that first seed or ending up as a second seed, nothing below that. Um, Surprisingly, I think we could take on the Pistons. We could get past them even without Tatum. That was my prediction even before Tatum came back. I think we have a team that even without Tatum, we could have overtaken that Pistons team in the first spot. Obviously, I think with some help from the West as well. I think because there are a lot of teams over there that have recently been giving them a lot of struggle. The Spurs come in mind because they beat them twice now. And they lost to the Spurs last night or 2 nights ago. I think so. Yeah, with some help from the West, we definitely could have overtaken the Pistons without Tatum. So having Tatum back just gives us an a bigger boost that is needed for us to end on that first seed. And not only that, but also to set us up as well as we could be set up for the playoffs. Because being the first seed is the best thing you want when it comes to the playoffs. Because it gives us a chance to play against that 8 seed who no offense to the 8 seed, but against a team like the Celtics, it would be an easier matchup than finishing third or fourth in the seeding and having to face against a tough maybe Knicks even or another team, maybe even the Hornets that we talked about a few days ago in the first round. So we want to set ourselves up the best way we can for the playoffs. Want to give ourselves the best chance to make it out of the East as well. So yeah, those are my predictions. I think I think first seed. You know what? I'll say it. First seed. I think we're gonna take over the Pistons. And I think we're gonna, like you said, Carl, make it past the first round. Second round is a little bit iffy, depending on who we face again. But yeah, I think with this team now with Tatum back, whether it's still on minutes restriction or not, he's going to be valuable to this team, like you said, Griffin. Anything Tatum offers is something that the Celtics are going to take because it's Tatum. So yeah,
No, well said. That some hot takes on here. I like it. I like it. I gotta say, I think we do stay in the 2 seed. I think the Pistons are really going to command the rest of the regular season. But however, I I don't doubt we could win a championship now. I know that sounds crazy, but it could happen. It could happen. I have confidence in this team. And you're getting your best player back, and I again, I'm not discrediting Jaylen Brown at all because he's been phenomenal, and I still think he will be the best player on this team come the end of the year. Like I think Jaylen Brown and what he has been able to do this season has been phenomenal. So not discrediting that by any means, but Jayson Tatum is coming back, and let's give our final takes on this. Again, you guys could tune in to the pregame live. We're going to be doing a pregame live at 6:20 tonight before the game as well, and we're going to be doing the recap where we will be breaking it down. But my final thoughts for this, and then we'll get into our next topic, is Tatum coming back. It's just crazy. Like I said, it's so surreal that David and I were sitting on the recap, against the New York Knicks, just devastated, not knowing what was going to happen with Jayson Tatum. Now here we are at March 6th, and Jayson Tatum is coming back tonight against Cooper Flagg and the Dallas Mavericks. I am beyond excited to see number 0 on the court. He's my favorite player, as you guys can see back there. You guys see, I love Jayson Tatum. I have all his Tatum jerseys. Like, I am such a big Tatum fan.
His shoes as well, Griffin. His shoes. Don't forget the shoes.
I have.
Oh yeah.
Hold on. I'll actually. I'm not gonna go.
Fun fact: while Griffin does this, my first time, the first conversation me and Griffin had as friends, we were talking about Tatum's shoes, because Griffin wore one of them to one of the classes where we first met, and in those classes, I noticed he was wearing Tatum's shoes, and that's kind of what started our conversation as friends. And that's we went up from there, But yeah, our friendship started because we were talking about Tatum's shoes and how good of a player Tatum is. Just to put it out there.
That's where it all started, Daniel. I know, like this is a huge step for us. So my the garden shoes are downstairs. The white ones with the flowers.
Yeah,
these were my first Tatums. Too small. But before he was even officially had his own signature shoe, like these were the Tatums. Then I beat the crap out of these ones, you guys. These were my everyday shoes, the barbershops. Wish I could have another pair. Hit me up if you guys have another pair of the barbershops. The 6-man, gotta love these ones. Oof. And my favorite, the blueprints. The bank account's been a little low recently, so I haven't been able to buy more things. But nice too.
And for anybody who needed proof, this is from a year ago. Griffin sent me this picture showing me his Tatum.
Gotta love it.
Just to show how far Griffin will go for Jayson Tatum. And everybody who's a Celtics fan should do the same.
Without a doubt. Thank you, Daniel. Got me fired up. I am a Tatum fan. It's safe to say I am a Tatum fan. But Carl, what do you have for us?
Yeah, no, when we're looking at Jayson Tatum and how well he's going to be into the system, especially to the haters, I want to say to you, we not only have one, but 2 first options on our team. It is no longer player A and player B. It is instead player 1A, player 1B, however you want to see it. The team captains, the co-captains, that's exactly what I'm seeing right now. We have the potential of potentially seeing the greatest duo of all time in the NBA, likely eclipsing the likes of a LeBron and D-Wade, a Shaq and Kobe, which personally, that's my favorite duo in all of basketball, a Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. You look at this team, and you look at the 2 men that will be leading this team for many years to come. Say what you want to say about Jayson Tatum, he's not going to come back the same. Again, that's the best part about it. He's not meant to come back the same. He's meant to come back and still be productive, but it, of course, is going to be a little bit different. Once again, I'm just really excited for this. And again, making that comparison to him and 08 John Cena, of course, 2 different sports and 2 different injuries, but it just feels the same to me. I don't know what else to say about this. I cannot express, again, how happy I am to see number 0 lacing up his shoes once again and putting on that Celtics green to play in front of all of us once more. The records that will be broken when it comes to this game being broadcasted, the fans that will be screaming, the individuals that will be losing their voices because they're screaming, the amount of kids and signs that will be a part of this whole thing. And another thing I feel like, we missed in this entire conversation is how much people he's inspiring as well, too. He's talked about how dejected he's felt, how he literally went from being Superman one day and the next completely, in paraphrasing, worthless, useless. You know what I mean? So to see him, rebounding as hard as he did and coming back, this season is absolutely incredible. And this is a story that's going to be told for many generations. This is a story that's going to inspire not just athletes, also, playing alongside him, but athletes in other sports and even younger athletes as well, too. Those who've played in high school, middle school, and then even elementary school. Hey, if you're going through an injury, if you're especially as serious as this, don't let it, define you. Let the healing define you. Let the recovery define you. Let the return define you. You're not meant to come back the same, and that is okay. That's just how it's supposed to be. Jayson Tatum, number 0, is coming back greater than ever before, inspiring the millions and millions of fans that he has, and even the doubters and haters as well too. And he's going to make this Boston Celtics team probably even greater. Maybe not as great as the 2024 championship team. Maybe, I don't know. But still somewhere close to that. And as long as he's 110%, we are at our most happy.
Got me fired up, Carl. JT coming back.
Got the sign ball too. Okay,
I
okay.
got this a couple of years ago for Christmas.
Man.
Love it. What do you got for us, Daniel? Get us fired up. And then maybe we'll get a Carl scream. Just kidding. That one I think was saved for the video. I think that one was saved as I fling my laptop. That's how excited I am, you guys. I can't even sleep. I can't even function from how excited I am. What do you got for us, though, Daniel?
First of all, we should clip that, Carl, and send it to Jayson Tatum's team or whatever. That should be on the next on Jayson Tatum's next docu series or whatever. Like the next episode, we should have just like Carl's voice in the background talking about all that because that was inspirational, man. Like that got me hyped up. Like to talk about how like he's supposed to come back better and stuff like that. Let the recovery define you, let the return define you, and not the injury itself. Something we haven't mentioned much yet is Jayson Tatum's mental health since the injury. We heard the conversation with his dad right after the game. We heard him talking to his mom right after the game, and I think we've seen a switch in his mental health, in his mental capacity since then. Obviously after an injury that big, it's normal to be the way Jayson Tatum was on that phone call. And like you said, Carl, feeling worthless as an athlete, as a player. An injury that big, yeah, I'd be doing the same too. But coming up to where Tatum is now, I think again, big shout out to the people Tatum has around him because I think it has influenced his mental health a lot. Not only his recovery, but also his mental health and the way he thought of himself as a player. I think has also changed, obviously, since the injury. So yeah, again, big shout out to the team he had around him. Big shout out to everybody, his family, his friends, the Celtics, and also the NBA in general. Because I think the NBA itself, fans, whether it's fans or other players, have been doing a good job of supporting Tatum and showing that support publicly. And I think that has given him an extra boost in order to come back as healthy as possible. So shout out to everybody who was around Tatum and who has believed in him since day one, since day zero.
Day zero. Oh, gotta love it. You guys got me fired up. And again, to make you guys hyped up, he's back. Jayson Tatum available tonight. And again, we won't talk about this a whole lot, but because this is our Tatum podcast and we don't want any negativity, but this is another good sign because Peyton Pritchard has been slowing down a little bit. I'm going to give you guys the stats really quick from the last 7 games. You start off February 22nd against the Lakers, 30 points. So that's where he was thriving, having some good games. You obviously guys know has been pushed to the bench. Then February 24th against the Phoenix Suns, 8 points. Then you go against the Nuggets, only 3 points. Then he has a little bit of a comeback against the Brooklyn Nets with 22 points. However, against the Philadelphia 76ers game, has 0 points. And then you look at the Milwaukee game, bumps back up to 25 points. We're like, all right, Pritchard. But then against Chicago, has 0 points. So I think this helps too, Jayson Tatum coming back, because that just gives you more of a consistency. I think the big thing behind this team, and it's been great, is there's been guys that have been able to step up because, again, there's been slumps this season. Derek White started off in a slump. Then you had obviously guys like Jordan Walsh stepping up and Peyton Pritchard taking over, but there's been guys in slumps. However, I think Jayson Tatum, even if he starts, even if he comes off the bench, he's going to provide consistency, at least a good 10, 15, 20 points, which will help, but do you guys have any thoughts on Peyton Pritchard? We don't have to dive into this too long, but just any initial thoughts. Should he be sent back to the starting lineup? What should they do with Peyton Pritchard? Because the struggles have been noticeable, but I don't think we should click the panic button for Peyton Pritchard quite yet, at least.
Honestly, looking at this, situation, yeah, I feel like he's in a mini slump that's definitely going to, be recovered. I think he's going to recover from this, especially with Jayson Tatum coming back at some point in time. Who knows? Maybe he does find himself in the starting lineup, especially going into the postseason, where he's, playing either guard role. And of course, Jaylen Brown, they're in that lineup too, alongside Tatum and Kata as their center. Definitely looks like a good starting five. You would just need to see them, of course, really adjusting and playing with each other, in this fashion. But I feel like too, in a weird way, he does have his most productivity coming off of the bench. There's a reason why he is the reigning sixth man of the year. He was doing a lot of great things for us, coming off of the bench before and, after. And I feel like he will do so after the slump as well. You know, Definitely it is something to keep our eyes on. We don't want this to be a consistent thing where he's not playing at the level that we wouldn't really expect him to play at. But I do believe and I do have faith that he's going to come back, even better. If he's not, doing it, well offensively, he'll find other ways to be productive for this team. Again, look at Derek White, who, is not doing the best, offensively, but it does show that he's still productive with his team on the defensive end and his playmaking too, as Joe Mazzulla, slightly changing the lineup, even earlier in the season too, where Derek White went from shooting guard to point guard. So definitely, you could essentially do anything to really help out Peyton Pritchard and this current slump that he's in. But I think right now, he's in I'd say a better spot than what a lot of people may, perceive it as. Um, yeah, definitely, let's try not to hit the panic button, but at the same time, it is definitely concerning and keeping an eye on for because I do believe he can come back and be a better player than he was, the last few games, even the games where he was, knocking the lights out like he did in LA and he did against the Brooklyn Nets.
What do you got for us, Daniel?
Yeah. I was a little bit more like, I was like hit the panic button in the last recap because I was the one that mentioned it with Andrew and we were talking about it. And back then I really was like questioning it, whether it should come back to the starting lineup or not. But I think you're right, Carl. He's on the bench for a reason because we need someone to bring in that kind of mentality and those points that he brings us off the bench. Because without him, we don't have much. We've mentioned the topic of consistency. And although Pritchard has been very on and off lately, he's still considered our best player coming off the bench. I still see him on the list of our bench players the most reliable, maybe, or kind of just the best player on our bench. So I think we should keep relying on him as that. And I definitely think Tatum is going to help with that as well, because especially with him being on the bench for these next few games for however long he needs to be on the bench for, he's going to be helping Pritchard. Not only his game, but maybe mentoring him, and also helping Pritchard get back to the level that we know he can reach before the playoff starts. because we're definitely gonna need him come playoff time. He's been very helpful for us. If you don't believe it, just watch the 2024 finals game against that whole series, and you'll know the name Perrin Pritchard after that. But hopefully, Tatum comes back and helps Pritchard find his rhythm again. Find that level that we know he can reach as Celtics fans.
Yeah, and I think it's just a slump. I don't think there's any concern. I think, you look at it, he hasn't been shooting the ball a lot. Something feels off, but it's just a slump. He'll get back into a groove. But now the road ahead, as you guys see underneath, the Boston Celtics tonight play the Dallas Mavericks and Jayson Tatum's return tonight. Then we match up against Cleveland, the Spurs, and OKC. So a strong kind of spread this coming week. What do you guys have the Celtics being next time we're on the podcast? Carl, we'll start off with you, go to Daniel, and back to myself. Because again, tough week coming up.
Oh no, absolutely. Again, you have a team that we beat in the NBA Finals. Obviously, not the same exact Dallas Mavericks team, but still some pieces there nonetheless. And Cooper Flag playing out of his mind in his rookie season. And then you have a Cleveland Cavaliers team being led by Donovan Mitchell and James Harden. And essentially, when you have that game, you're going to have the Celtics and the Cavs looking for both these teams, for something to prove. This could be a game of the year candidate, I feel like personally, with what they both have to prove, especially with the postseason and all the expectations that were on them, going into this season. Then you're going up against the Spurs right after them, a team that has won, 11, if I'm not mistaken, out of their like 12 games. So they have been arguably the greatest team in the NBA. Victor Wembanyama has been playing at an elite level, and he has a great supporting cast there as well too. And at this point, wouldn't even be surprised if they made it to the NBA Finals with the teams that they have been owning, such as the Pistons and the OKC Thunder. They have beaten more times this season than, of course, any other team. And then you, of course, have the reigning defending champions, number one seed out in the West, the OKC Thunder. That's probably the game, in my opinion, that I'm the most worried about, just because Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, the fouls, Lou Dort, and the way he plays. So definitely looking at this stretch, and of course looking at these specific teams, I generally think we can get ourselves in a position where we're winning most of these games. I really want to say 4-0, but I'm going to go 3-1 just because OKC, if they have, their players, and even if they don't have some of their better players, they're still a really good team. They really did a great job in assembling that roster. But I'm going to say 3-1 for now. I still feel like we win tonight. I still feel like we go over the Cavs. I don't think we're gonna have too much issues with them. The Spurs is where we're gonna start really running into some issues because again it's Victor Wembanyama and a really good supporting cast behind him in their territory, and then of course the OKC Thunder being the champs. I don't know if we're entirely ready to do battle with them. Even if we do find ourselves in the finals.
What do you got for us, Daniel?
Yeah, I agree with you, Carl. Very tough week for us. Really tough couple of games coming up. Um, I think, yeah, definitely a win against the Mavs. I don't see us losing this game at all after the news we've gotten today, man. There's definitely a win on the books. I think the game against the Cavs, first time playing against Harden, on this Cavs team, I think it's a win. Honestly, the team itself, the Cavs, doesn't scare me enough at all, even in the playoffs. They were a big one of the memorable games against the Cavs in recent history was that dunk for that Tatum dunk that should have been called a foul from that Jared Allen such obvious contact, but it wasn't called. It would have won us the game, but we lost because of that, because the refs didn't call it. And then as well, the I'm gonna make them both stint, which I still haven't had a chance to live down.
Yeah, Grant Williams,
Mavericks legend Grant Williams.
that was a sad day, man.
I was explaining that to my girlfriend the other day about the Grant Williams. I love it. Gotta love it. Keep
Wow.
going, Daniel.
Yeah, that was tough for me. I think the switch had flipped a long time ago, but like a while ago. But I think after that game, I was like, yeah, Grant, you gotta go, man. Your time's up. As
Same.
much as I loved Grant, like as a player, it's like as a teammate, not as I'll say as a teammate, not as a player. But after that game, I was like, pack it up, bro. Pack it up.
Uh,
You're done. That's it for you, man. But yeah, recently in the last couple of years with Donovan Mitchell, obviously, and Garland as a duo, there hasn't been much to be scared of. And now with the addition of Harden, it could be good for them as a team, but I think against us, there's still not much to go against. So yeah, they definitely see us winning against them. Um, the next two games you said, Carl, I think that's where we started kind of get into the toughness of the next couple of games, And I think we go 2-2 with this Spurs and OKC matchup. We do have a chance to beat the Spurs. I agree. We've beaten them. Have they won against us this season? I'm not sure. Let me check that real
They
quick.
did.
yeah, they beat
Oh,
us.
by 5. Okay, I
And
forgot about that. Yeah, they could beat us again. There's a chance of that, but there's also a chance that our defensive prowess, our how good we are defensively, could come out and give us that win against them. But I think right now, as things stand, the streak that the Spurs are on right now, the massive streak they're on, I think I definitely see us losing that one. And then against OKC, man, I hope Tatum doesn't play that one. I think we should do our best to sit Tatum for that game. Hopefully that happens because you mentioned it, Lou Dort. I don't want to see Lou Dort anywhere near Tatum. Honestly, Tatum don't even come to the game and stay in the locker room because with Lou Dort on the court, anything can happen, man.
Yeah.
I don't understand like people that are fans of him. I mean, he has more dirty plays than probably threes made this season. So
uh,
um, keep Tatum as far away from Lou Dort as possible.
was
But yeah,
Jokic the
I
one that was
think
trying to choke him out the other night? Wasn't it Jokic?
Yeah,
Wasn't it?
Jokic got
yeah.
into it
It was
with
Gordon Jokic. Have you
yeah.
seen a play from Jokic? Like Jokic is walking away, Dort just like steps
Wait,
in his way and just drops him.
wait, hold
Yeah.
on.
And then what's his name? Jalen Williams tried to get in Jokic's face, and that's when we had that photo of him like,
Yeah, that photo of him like something like
yes.
that.
I'm trying to pull it up.
I want to warn OKC fans and players about Jokic's brothers, because they really don't play. Yeah.
No, yeah, they don't. They don't.
That's crazy.
But
That's
yeah,
absolutely.
with Shea back, and kind of the team and mentality that's over there in OKC, yeah, I think we're definitely gonna lose that one. Not essentially because they're better than us. I mean, you could see them as better than us on the record, but I think it's just because of the atmosphere. The refs as well are probably gonna play a big part in that one. I don't care. I'm saying it. But yeah, I think we're gonna lose that one as well. So I think I see us as a 2-2, but at best, definitely 3-1.
Yeah,
and it's also gonna be an away game as well, which could bring up some struggles as well. So yeah, definitely, I think 2-2, but 3-1, best case scenario.
I'm gonna go, you guys. I'm gonna go with tonight. I'm gonna say 3-1. I think this Mavericks game could be like a little trap game, the hype with Tatum coming back. I think we still get the job done. I don't think we lose to the Mavericks, but it's one that, you could Cooper Flag's homecoming and going against Jayson Tatum. I think he's going to go off tonight for his home crowd. So just pay attention to that. But I also wanted to mention alongside of that, I think we do get business done against the Mavericks. I do believe we get business done against the Cavs. The Spurs become a little tricky. I think we do beat the Spurs as well. You look at the Spurs and what they've been able to accomplish this season and how well they've been. I like that from them. However, I think we get our payback against them. We lost in San Antonio, but now they come here, and I think we win that game. OKC, I do believe we dropped that one, but keep your eyes peeled for the next game because I think we do end up winning the next one. But on top of that, I wanted to add in, I don't expect Jayson Tatum to play a lot of these games. I expect him maybe the Mavs, maybe the Cavs. I feel like, you might even have Tatum play Mavericks, might even sit for the rest of the week. Who knows? We don't know. Maybe he plays all four. Maybe he plays 1 out of 4. Maybe he plays 2 out of 4, 3 out of 4. We don't know. But I think the Celtics do go 3-1. But we'll go back over here. And does anyone have any final thoughts before we close out tonight?
Love that. Love that.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
All I gotta say is, like Kawhi said when the Toronto Raptors, won the championship, enjoy this moment. Have fun with it.
Well said, Carl. Well said. What do you
I
got?
did the laugh.
Wait. Not even joking. Someone text me right now. Someone text me. I want you guys to hear my ringtone. Someone text me.
Hold up.
Give it a second. You guys are gonna love this. That's my ringtone, the Kawhi Leonard laugh. Oh God,
That's so funny.
but funny little thing. But what do you guys? Anything else though, Carl? Anything else?
All I gotta say is this.
What do you got for us, Daniel?
I think kind of a last question for everyone. This wasn't on the script, but it's just something that I thought of. We kind of went down like a negative, kind of a negative road talking about Bryn Pritchard, but I think I want to spin it and ask you guys who's like we're like 3/4 of the way into the season. So I think so far, I think it's time to kind of give out like who's been your most impressive or the most surprising player on the Celtics for you guys this season.
I'd say Jaylen Brown.
I'm just gonna throw that out there.
I'd go Jaylen Brown. I think for him to step up in the absence of Tatum, without a doubt. What do you got though, Carl?
Hugo Gonzalez. I love that kid so much. I agree.
Yes. He's impressed me. He's impressed me a lot this season.
I asked this question because I already didn't answer. I think definitely Hugo, in my opinion, because with JB, Griffin, I don't mind your take at all. I think he's second after Hugo, but I think we've seen it. We've seen like he did have a leap this season without Tatum, but it's just like the fact that we've seen it season after season. It's been the second best guy on our team, and also you kind of have to factor in the fact that there is no Tatum, as well into that situation. But yeah, I don't mind it at all. He's definitely been second in that aspect, but I think Gonzalez, especially because of the way I felt about him at the beginning of the season, this, Griffin. When he was selected, I was just like, what are we doing?
I was the same.
But I've completely flipped the script on him. He's become one of my favorite players on this team. And yeah, he's brought the chemistry up so much. He's brought the hustle into the game. He's brought everything: points, rebounds, threes. So yeah, there's obviously things you can get better at. You can do the same for any player on the team. But he's definitely been my most surprising / impressive player on the team. So that's what I'm going to end with.
Well said. And I got to end with JT is back. But with that being said, you guys,
day zero.
Tune in tonight for the recap and the pregame live. But with that being said, you guys, going to be a fun one. As you see JT up there, we got faith and hope, and he is back. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and turn on post notifications to be notified every time we upload. We will be bringing you coverage about how Jayson Tatum performs. So tune in to the Celtics Nation Rise account. We will see you guys with the next one. Peace, you guys.
Later.
Peace. Don't forget to throw something on the grill.